It's a loading. Loading. Dead or alive? Is it live? Is it dead? Is it live? Is it dead? There's not even anybody watching. There's nobody watching this live stream because I titled it that the live stream is dead. Oh, yeah. Let's see if this is even working. Oh, man. There we go. We've got our first viewer of the day. And it's actually working, and who knows if the audio is any good. Is the audio any good? Is the audio any good? Let's see. We'll see if the audio is any good. Let's go over to the main screen. How's the main screen? What's going on here? Oh, look at my hair. It's going all weird. It's got a dwangler. There we go. What's up, everybody? How's it going? Crystal Shack Aquatic says, why does everybody stream at the same time? I'm torn. I don't know. I have no idea who's streaming right now, who's not streaming right now. So, yeah. I'm just streaming right now just to say what's up to everybody. So, yeah. What's up, everybody? Good to see you. Thanks for coming out today. We typically have a stream today normally, and so I figured I'd come on and do a quick one and just say hi to everybody and be like, look, I'm not dead, and yes, I am rebuilding the computer and doing all that stuff. That's happening. We're actually, this is our first test stream on the brand new CPU, motherboard, and all that. So just to tell you guys a little bit of the story of what happened, because I know we had a bunch of people tune in to last week's stream when I was in the we were in the fish room, and people were like, man, this seems like a stream for you to make money for a new computer. And I get that people felt that it was that way. That was not my intention. My intention was to try and stick with my schedule. And especially to try and make it to the end of the year. That was the big reasoning behind it. Was I was like, look, I want to make it to the end of the year following my schedule. And we actually did miss a show on Monday. We didn't have a show on Monday because the computer is dead, and I can literally. All right, hold on. I was gonna set up another camera, but I just didn't have time. So. Here's the old computer. Is dead. This X99 motherboard fried the CPU. And so it is dead. It is no longer with us. Although the box and some of the other components, like this Stream Deck and stuff, are still good. And you can see all the stuff is still hanging because I'm stealing all of the parts out of it, and I am actually even going to reuse the case. So even the case is going to be reused. The motherboard and CPU will get recycled. There's a CPU or a computer parts recycling place right near me, and we'll end up recycling that along with some other stuff. And so this computer here is dead. This is literally it. I can set it back down. My office looks like a bomb went off in here. Those are literally the words from Vicky. My office does look like a bomb went off in here. I was not prepared. I was not ready to build a new computer yet. As you guys know, the old computer I just showed you guys is the big thing with it. It was having some issues. As you guys know, we dropped a stream midstream one time. We had some issues here and there, and they were kind of ongoing. They were kind of ongoing issues, just sort of a thing that was just occurring with that computer. A lot of people had to input that, hey, the power supply is bad, of which I can tell you guys I actually called my tech buddy, had her come out, and we tested every single configuration we could think of. We had 3 different power supplies. What else did we do? We basically took out every hard drive. We took out this. We took out that. We tested the voltage and amperage from every power supply. We have 1 brand new power supply, fresh out the box, which we're actually using right now. So we actually even used this brand new power supply to see if we could get power to run to it. And unfortunately, the CPU is dead. I'm pretty sure that the motherboard is still okay from all of the testing that we did. It can still get to BIOS and do all that, but it is completely fried. And here's the thing, is that a lot of people are like, oh, just buy a new CPU. So I went online, I went to eBay, I went to Amazon, I went to Newegg, I went to every website I could possibly think of, and that motherboard actually takes a LGA 2011 version 3. And I'll actually, hold on, let me type it into the chat here. LGA 2011 V3 chip. Now, the reason why that's important is that the chips that are inside your computer don't fit into a motherboard. They don't fit into all of them. They're not universal. So I have to find that specific chip that goes into the computer. The CPU is what it's called. I could not find one online that was less than $700. I could not find one. I couldn't find one that was less than $700, and that's kind of problematic because that's a lot of money to spend on something that is pretty old technology, realistically, because I didn't buy the newest of the new at the time, so it's probably like 3 years old, if not maybe a little bit more. And so that's a lot of money to spend on something, and then I had to then I would have to like pay shipping or whatnot. The only ones I could find were on eBay, so then I would have to pay like extra overnight shipping and all that kind of stuff. And it was looking to be like, the chip I found was like $700, and then the overnight shipping and all that kind of stuff, it was somewhere in the range of $800, whatever. Now, if I bought it from like Newegg or something like that, I'd have to add in all the tax, and so it's just getting more and more expensive to do some old technology, and that's just not a great idea as far as I'm concerned. That just doesn't seem to be like a good idea, right? So I know that people that follow the stream, follow the channel here a lot, know that I'm always messing around with technology and doing that kind of stuff. So I have been tracking getting my parts together, and I was essentially going to order them next year. I was waiting until late January is when I was going to order them, mainly because taxes and all the crazy stuff here at the end of the year, plus buying all the Christmas presents and those kinds of things. It's just a lot of stuff to do at the end of the year. So I was like, all right, I'll just wait until later in January and just kind of make it like it'll be part of a New Year project. Once I have the new office that is downstairs built out, I'll build the new computer for it. Bing will all be ready to go. I also am going to have to obviously spend money on the new office down there. Vicky is contributing money to that, so it's not like just a one-man show or anything. So we are doing that as a couple. It's not just me bearing the burden, but we're gonna have a lot of stuff going on. So I had already kind of figured out what I was going to build, and so I went, found the parts, ordered the parts. The new computer's right there. Hold on, I can show you guys the back of it. Hey-ya! There it is right there. I should have set up like another camera on it or something like that. There it is right there. We ended up building the Threadripper. We built the fancy sort of future-proof computer, and total cost altogether is right around $1,300. But it's going to be a computer that's going to last for 2 or 3 years. And so now I've been migrating all of my software onto it, adding in all the hard drives, all that kind of stuff, and getting it all set up for editing and all of the things that I need to do. And honestly, after having tested some of the benchmarks and stuff, like let's go, if we go back to the loading screen for just a second. So this loading screen right here, let's make me a little bit bigger so people don't think it's loading. But this loading screen right here, I was able to make this, right? I was able to make that screen and render it out in about, so the rendering time was about 45 seconds, which is crazy because there's a lot of layers, a lot of effects, a lot of stuff in that. And, you know, the old computer, it probably would have taken 10 minutes or something like that to render it out. This one took 30 seconds. So hopefully that means I'll be able to edit more videos, put more stuff out. So there is definitely, I feel personally, an upside to this whole situation of, you know, the computer dying. It just, I think as most people think, it's like, we all just want these things to happen at a more convenient time. The unfortunate side with that is that nothing ever happens at a convenient time. You know what I mean? Like none of that stuff. Nothing ever happens at a convenient time, like getting in a car crash or something like that. Crystal Shack Aquatic says, Noel Leeming, have some deals on video editing capable laptops. Hint, hint. Yeah, I was definitely, you know, there are some deals out there and stuff like that. And we shall see how it goes. T Riddle says 2 or 3 years. My computer will be 9 years old in May. As you guys know, I do a lot of editing. I do a lot of stuff. I do a lot of work on my computer. So that's the thing, is that the computers just get worn out and broke down really fast doing stuff like video editing. Hold on, I showed you one computer. I showed you the new computer. And here's one of my old computers. Oh, yeah. So here's one of the older computers I've been stealing parts off of. This one won't even edit video at this point. You might be able to do some really low-res work on this computer. This one, the only reason I was saving this one is I'm going to actually be using that just to put a whole bunch of hard drives in, so I can have all the old footage and stuff like that just sitting in the whole old hard drives. So, you know, it's one of those things that it's just a kind of a nature of the business, and obviously I need tools in order to do my job, which a big portion of my job is to be able to, you know, make YouTube videos and all the other crazy nonsense that I have to do from day to day. But luckily, a friend of mine's coming through and going to buy my 80D, my B camera, so I'll be able to raise some funds with that, and I think we'll be pretty close to hitting the old no worries money deal. So I'm just gonna sell my old trusty camera, and as you guys know, I have my other camera, so not that big of a deal. It's just one of the days in the life, you know. It's just one of the days in the life of the old YouTube nonsense, you know. So, but yeah, that's just kind of how that thing goes. All right, Exotic says, have you ever played with Vegas Pro? Just purchased to make better content. Everything I edit is on Vegas Pro. I use Vegas Pro 16, whatever the new one is. I think it's 16. I use Vegas Pro. Is it the recommended editing software? Maybe not. Maybe not if you want to ever become. Oh, so actually, I had somebody over and I was giving them editing advice and showing them some stuff. Last weekend or something like that. Vegas Pro is a great editing software, in my opinion. It works, does 90% of the stuff that you would want it to do. It's not very expensive. You'll be able to own it. You'll be able to own it outright, whereas Premiere Pro, stuff like that, you have to pay every single month. You have a reoccurring cost, whereas Vegas, you don't. You buy the software, you have the software. You can buy the update every year if you feel like it's useful to you, but you could buy it once, have the software, and use the software. Whereas Premiere Pro, if your license expires, you can't use anything. They'll know, like on the first of the month, if you haven't paid up, you ain't got nothing. It ain't gonna work. But if you are looking to be, someone in the industry, like say maybe you want to work for the Discovery Channel and be one of their editors or something like that, you'd want to learn Premiere Pro because that's pretty much what most people use out there in the industry. I know a lot of YouTubers that use Vegas, and I use it myself mainly because I think I started using it at like Vegas 8 or something like that. I can't even remember like which one I started on. I think it was Vegas 8, I want to say, because it was the only affordable software I could get back in the day. So I think it's a really good place to start. Even if you just want to make home videos or whatever, just stuff at your house, you don't necessarily have to publish it or anything like that. And that's just kind of how it goes. You know what I mean? Jonathan Chong, my first DOS computer before Pentium 1. I think my first computer was like a Commodore 64 or something like that. Hearing your $1,300 cost reminds me that my brother just paid $1,000 Canadian for a new graphics card alone. That's crazy. Luckily, here's the funny thing is that most people don't realize that a graphics card, because you think it has to do with editing video because it says graphics in it. Now, you do need a graphics / video card, whatever you want to call it, to operate the system, but you definitely do not need the super fancy, big video cards that are really expensive. Right now, I have a GTX 480, and at some point, I will probably get a GTX or GT. I think it's called a GTS now or something like that. I think I'm going to go up to a GTS 580, which is just not even that big of a deal. I think that's only I think it came down to $179 or something like that. So you don't need that crazy, but the computer, the processor that we have in here it's called a Threadripper, which is kind of goofy. Yeah, I know. 1950X is the one that we have here now and we're utilizing, and I have to say it works very well. It's a 16-core 32-thread processor. It's working quite well, and so far I'm enthusiastic because I went from a 6-core Intel i7, so it was an i7 6850K, I think was the processor. I mean, I'm close if I'm not exact. I think that's the processor that was in there. Went from that to this Threadripper. So it went from a 6-core 12-thread to a 16-core 32-thread. So we have a lot more space to process stuff, and I really don't think I'm going to have to upgrade. Though if I have to, I will be able to avoid the problem that I did have before, which was that I was unable to buy a new chip to actually just put into the motherboard, and hopefully I'll be able to avoid that because the company that makes the Threadripper, AMD, which I think is Advanced Micro Devices or something, I forget what it exactly stands for. I should know that, but I save that stuff in my head for other stuff. Anyhow, AMD has promised that they will continue to make the CPUs for that socket up until 2021. So we have about 3 years, and if this same thing happens again, I should just be able to order a new chip and put it in and be ready to go. Although who knows? Who knows if we'll be able to get there or not. M. Howie9 with a $5 super chat saying, Merry Fishmas, Corvus. Sorry for your loss on your computer. Do you have a capture card recommendation? I think personally, I don't even use a capture card anymore. I just don't find it to be... Whoops. I just stuck a magnet to this USB drive. We might be having a problem with that, but luckily the only information on there is some old BIOS we don't need. But a capture card, if you want a capture card, you could definitely get one. I don't recommend that. Let me, if you are looking for like a streaming setup, what I would say is, you know, you could get a capture card. The Elgato ones are kind of the best. I have the HD60, I think. What do I have? Yeah, I think it's like the HD60 or something like that. Mine's the onboard one. It doesn't do 4K, which is fine because I don't ever really do anything in 4K. I mean, I do have a computer now that I can do things in 4K, so I might be incorporating that in. And I do have, yeah, I got some new stuff that I'll be dropping probably coming in the next year. But there's the Elgato one and the AverMedia one, which, where's the cam link? Nope, that's not it. Let's see. Yeah, here's like the newer version of the one that I have. Where's my stupid link generator thing? Where's my dash buttons? Oh, man. Am I not logged in on here? I must not be logged in. Oh, I gotta sign in. Uh-oh. Does this thing even know? Does this thing know who I am? Here, I'll get you a link so you'll be able to, there we go. Takes a second. That's something I hadn't even done yet. I hadn't done that. Copy, and I can paste it over here with Control V and hit enter. Boom, there you go. So there's a link for, basically it's all on one page on the Amazon there. The 460 Pro is pretty cool. I don't think you need that. I think that if anybody wants to stream like the way that I do, basically kind of sitting here, you can set this up anywhere. You can set it up wherever you want. Basically what you're looking for is, let me see here. Logitech Brio. This is the one that you're looking for. I'm currently using this camera right now. This is basically all you need. This plug and play. This is the camera. You're just going to plug it into USB 3.1, and you'll be able to just stream right on here, and then you just pick whatever software you want. I currently use XSplit. I don't know. You might not like XSplit, but you know, hopefully those links help you out there. So that's the Stream Deck for the capture card. M. Howie says he was thinking of hooking up a DSLR. Now, one of the things to remember with a DSLR, you need to make sure that you have a clean HDMI out. You're going to have to figure out if your camera is able to do what you want it to do. So we have to make sure that this has a... Okay, it's got a battery in it. Let's go. It's got a dead battery in it. Oh, hold on. Let me swap out this battery. Okay. Engage. Okay. Here we go. Okay. So, one of the downsides is to most DSLRs, and see, we got camera in camera. Camera in camera. Camera in camera. So you can see there, and you can probably see in the reflection that I'm just on the Logitech Brio. Anyhow, you can see here the display. You can see the display on the camera itself. That will be displayed via the HDMI out on almost every single... it will be out of stock in almost every single... Or not out of stock, sorry. T. Riddle, I'm just reading your post there. And I'll get to that in just a second. Almost every single DSLR, unless you have the really expensive one, is going to have that on the signal that is coming out of the DSLR. It'll have that on it. So there's the link right there. Okay, let me refresh. T. Riddle said it was out of stock, which I think the capture is out of stock. No, that one's in stock. Capture chat link. Which one's out of stock? I don't know. I can't find one here that's out of stock. Oh, the HD60. I have the HD60 Pro that you put it in to the computer itself. You know, it's not like its own unit sitting on the table here. But either way, what the heck was I talking about? Oh, I don't know. Oh, yeah, if you have a DSLR, you're going to have all that stuff on the display. And most DSLRs out there will overheat, even the really expensive ones. So double check that your camera has a clean HDMI out if that's your plan. I'm speaking from experience to just get the Logitech webcam because it does work quite well. You can just plug it into your computer and pretty much go. It's just going to be the best thing, and I think it's only like $100 and something bucks, realistically. Savannah the Aqualama actually has a fish question. Does anyone have any idea why a previously peaceful male beta, after 2 years of having a fish tank cohabitants, would suddenly turn murderous and intolerant of company? And Reaver says stress. Yeah, I would say that's probably something going on there, stress-related. Would be my guess. Something going on there. But, betas are kind of wily fish. You never really know. Never really know what they're going to do. But we've got questions to answer today, and I've got to move over here a little bit. Sorry. We got to scroll down. Oh, man, I forgot to scroll down. Sorry, guys. And we're scrolling, because we were unable to answer these questions before last week because the computer blew up. So let's get to them now. Somebody was asking me recently about where I got my Congo puffers. Here you go. Preston John. We got his little website here up on the community page, up on Patreon. You guys can go check it out, and you guys will be able to rock and roll and check out some Congo puffers, man. Maybe he's got some for sale. You can contact him there, ask him questions. He's posting up like some how-tos and stuff like that. And he said, and he had posted not anything special yet, but SpottedCongoPuffer.com is live. How much money to become a celebrate spokesperson? I don't know. Hey, you could be $1 a month and post things up onto the community tab, and I'm going to talk about them to some degree. So I guess $1 a month is what it costs. And obviously you're one of the Oceaneers, man. So I would promote other, fans and stuff like that. Like, I'd promote your stuff anyhow. And I want to mention to people moving forward here, I've been collecting video questions. And if you want to send in a video question, hit me up. You can send an email to joel@darkstararts.com, or you can find me on Facebook. Or you can find me on Instagram. You can find me around. There's quite a few places that you can find me. You can find me in comments on this video, whatever you want to do. You can get a hold of me. It's pretty easy. It's not that difficult. Or you can go over to Patreon and become an Oceaneer. You can get a hold of me on there. They have a messenger built into it, and you can message and all that stuff. Whoops. And it's really a non-issue. But the reason that I bring that up is I've been having people send me in. Video questions, which we're going to be answering in video format in 2019. I'm going to be starting that in 2019. I'm going to take your video question. If you guys missed the Jay Wilson video, Jay Wilson sent me a video question, and I don't know that I did the best answering it because it was sort of the trial run, and that's, Jason Wilson deserves a trial run, You know what I mean? We love Jay. He's not going to be offended if his wasn't perfect. right? So that's kind of the deal. We went through and we did some of the we did the trial run with our guy Jay Wilson and answered his question. So that'll give you kind of an idea of a lot of the videos I'm going to be making coming up this year. And if nobody wants to send in video questions, then maybe I'll just make videos about me asking myself questions, and that might be entertaining too. Brendan Wagner sent in snail control. Hail, I was wondering if I could keep pea puffers with neons and Harley rasboras. I struggle to feed just the right amount of food, so I was wondering if I can use puffers to keep the pond nerite ram's horn snails in check. Any ideas or tips to get the fish to eat more? I use appetite booster every now and then, but I don't really like having to add it, and the fish still don't go crazy over food. The neons will wait till it sinks to the bottom before they try to eat it, but the rasboras go nuts at feeding time. Pictus catfish does not clean up the scraps and will only eat one food I offer. Yeah, so Pictus cat, I don't think the Pictus cat should be in this small of a tank, personally. They get pretty big. Eric says, has helped him out here a little bit, saying depending on the puffer. I personally would not add puffers for snail control to any tank. I don't think that that's a great idea. The best thing that you'd want to do is mitigate feeding. Make sure you're feeding the food that your fish do want to eat, so you don't have a lot of extra food left over. And trap snails. Trapping snails. Just think of it this way. Let's say you took 5 or 10 minutes and caught 100 snails out of there. In not that long, you could definitely knock the population down and not end up with a fish that you don't want to take care of. Because that is almost always one of the problems, is that, if you end up getting fish to take care of a problem, with air quotes around it, it's probably a fish you didn't want to keep in the first place. I don't know how long you're going to be able to maintain being enthusiastic about it. I don't know how long you're going to be able to be enthusiastic about a fish that you didn't even want to keep in the first place. So I wouldn't recommend it. Like Ramosa says, intake sponge issue. I got a large intake sponge from the co-op for my Fluval 306. Now I can't get the intake to stay in the suction cup against the wall. I've tried moving the suction cup up and down, but the sponge keeps making it pop back out. Any tips? Yeah, so a couple of people were asking for some pictures to find out what was going on. I always found that, like, whenever I had problems with the intake sponge filter, it's because there was air stuck in it. Like, but from this post, honestly, I'm just kind of finding it a little bit difficult to figure out exactly what's going on. Maybe you need a different suction cup. Maybe you need to make sure that the suction cup is clean and hold it into place. That could be the issue. I don't know. Could be any of that stuff. But I think realistically, anytime I ever had sponge filters having an issue, it's just because something was stuck in them. And if it's floating up to the top, I would submerge it and give it some squishing underneath the water, and that'll probably get all the air bubbles out of it. Otherwise, they don't normally float that much. Like, if they don't have any air bubbles trapped inside them, the sponge just kind of like slowly sinks to the bottom. So I think it would be kind of weird for that. But so for the 306, the Fluval 306, now I can't get the intake to stay in the suction cup against the wall. Yeah, I'm wondering if there's a bunch of air stuck in the sponge itself. I'm thinking that's probably got something to do with it. The fishy mailman just mailing it in, bruh. Of which, I hope I didn't offend the fishy mailman. I was saying, I always envision him delivering packages like he's in the NBA and just slam dunking them because of, the mailman, Karl Malone, It's not, I'm not saying he's breaking packages or anything like that. I think it's just in my head like he's a superhero. And I don't know, I'm weird. And maybe it seemed weird when I was talking about it to him the other day, and because I was just texting him and I wasn't even talking, so who knows. Reaver says, try him in a larger tank. Oh, yeah. So you guys are... Yeah, I think realistically, from Savannah in the chat right now, so you guys are talking about the beta and stuff like that. I think realistically it boils down to, betas being kind of crazy and being kind of cranky and stuff like that. I just move them, I would always just move them to another tank if they're really beating anybody up and not doing what they're supposed to be doing. I just don't try to fight it. I just would move them to another tank. And as you guys know, when I was keeping betas, I had tanks and tanks and tanks and tanks. Krager says maybe a longer arm to make up for the sponge thickness. That's a good point too. You might need some thickness issue. But let's get back to the fishy mailman sent in this dope picture. By the way, I really like this picture. Focus right here. Blurry all around. Isolate the subject. I like it. It says, not the best picture, but while I'm on vacation, I try to get some of these natural sunlight photos. I have had about an hour or so a day window to get them. Caught this female pea puffer hunting. Well, I mean, that gives you an idea, like, how small this is, too. So I think it's a pretty good picture. Even though he said it wasn't a good picture, I think it's a pretty good picture. So that's how it goes. Our next post is from Vince Grippa, who posted, thanks for registering. He's going to Dallas Aquashella. He says, thank you for registering to Aquashella. Your tickets are attached to this email. Look at that. March 30th, March 31st. Is it only 2 days long? Is Aquashella only 2 days long? He says, first aquarium convention, absolutely cannot wait. Hey, man, that's awesome. I'm glad you guys are booking out for Aquashella and stuff like that. I'm undecided on whether or not I'm going to go. Vicky was kind of, she was kind of mentioning to me the other day that that she thinks I should definitely go. I don't know. I'm kind of the mindset right now that if I'm going to spend like $2,000 to go to a convention, I think I'm just going to buy a new editing computer so that I can edit more. You know what I mean? So it's just that's just kind of where my mindset's at right now. If I get able to film, produce more stuff, like that's what I'd rather do than try and go to more conventions and stuff. It costs a lot of money, and I'm away from my family, and I love meeting everybody, but it does cost me a lot of money, man. I don't get a free ticket to go. I did get a free ticket to go to Germany, so anybody that's mad about that, I get it. But it's a lot of time away from my family, and it's been costing a lot of money to go to those, and so I don't know. I'm undecided about whether I'm going to go to Aquashella or not, or any of the other conventions for that matter. Lucy Sylvester says, as always, thanks for your fabulous work. Here's a pic of my first scape tank, which was inspired by your vids. It's a 20-gallon high with a school of glow lights and Corys. Happy holidays to one and all. Yeah, by the way, if you guys didn't have a Merry Christmas, I hope you had a Merry day after Christmas. Yeah. I hope you had a day after Christmas that was pretty cool. Lucy, that's awesome, man. Look at that tank. If this is inspired by my work, I don't know. That's better than my work. So if it's inspired by my work and you're doing better than mine, so all right. I can live with that. I can live with you guys being inspired by me and then doing better than me. I like that. I think that's good. And that's a decent looking tank, especially like, hold on, when did this get set up? I thought it said when it was set up. No, it doesn't say. I thought there was like an experience thing tagged on there, and that's not the case. The fishy mailman sent in, today's natural sunlight photo really captures the vibrant red in these neon tetra, and I agree. Yeah, man, if you get a chance to get some photos with, some real sunlight coming into your tank, it is awesome opportunity. I think at some point in time I might want to do some of those indoor the sunlight holes. God, what are those called? It's not even it's not a skylight. What is it? I mean, it's a skylight type thing, but it's a solar tube. That's what they're called. It's a solar tube that brings natural light down, like from up above, so you don't have to have a skylight. Does that make sense? So you can still have that big space in your roof up there, and those are pretty cool. And I think it would be fantastic to someday be able to light and grow plants and stuff like that in a fish room with those solar tubes. Those things are pretty cool. Johan sends in our fish of the week, the bala shark. Bala shark or silver shark. I'm not going to try and say its Latin name because I'm going to get that one wrong. It's a freshwater species belonging to the carp family. The fish prefers clean rivers and streams with fast water flow. The fish can be encountered in waters of Southeast Asia, and it's threatened with extinction. It's quite popular fish tank fish due to its likeness to a real shark. All the fish pictures I post, I took myself with a phone. Some took a long time to take, and I'm guessing that this is one of them. As you guys know, the bala shark, this little freshwater fish, quite cool. I'm sad that it's close to extinction, but it is alive and well in the fish tank community. You'll definitely be able to find some of these if this is something you're interested in having in your tank. Just remember, they do need a lot of swimming space, and that's it's one of the reasons that they're going extinct. They do need clean water and a lot of swimming space. So, it's a cool fish. It's a cool fish, but get a big tank. That would be my experience with those ones. Daniel Squires, who's one of our big-time supporters, he's one of the guys that also helps put this out on the podcast and stuff like that. But he sends in somebody's comment. Nathan Kotas from chat, wanting to use Lucky Bamboo as a hydroponic garden above my 10-gallon aquarium, or how would you recommend going about this, and is it worth it? Okay, first and foremost, let's answer the is it worth it. I think it's worth it to at least give it a chance. If you're going to grow Lucky Bamboo, remember the tops of it need to be coming out of the aquarium. Do not have them fully underwater. You can even just go to Petco and get some Lucky Bamboo from there, but make sure that the top of it is above the water column. It's not fully submerged. You can't do that. Hopefully, maybe this will spark your interest in Lucky Bamboo. Just remember that bamboo is a type of grass. It is not wood. It is grass that grows really, really big, essentially. So if you think of it that way, grass doesn't grow underwater, and neither does bamboo. But it can grow out of the water as long as the top of it's growing out, and you can do this. It's something that I would recommend to put together. It'd be difficult for me to just describe how to do this just with words, but you basically would need a small above aquaponic tank sort of deal, and just let them grow above the water. And is it worth it? I think it's worth it. I think this is something that that you could definitely do. You could certainly do this with just an insert tray into a 10-gallon aquarium that would just sit into the top lip area above the tank. There are quite a few. I mean, if you just did a Google image search, you'll find a whole bunch of different setups. And I personally would probably do it myself, because this is kind of a smaller project that, you probably won't be able to find a thing that exactly fits in there. I don't think there's any. There might be a company that makes an insert that does this, but I don't know. I have never seen one for sale, so there might be something out there. And if I say there isn't one, I'm sure somebody will tell me later, like, there is, and I'll be like, oh man, I didn't know. But as far as I know, I don't know that anybody sells a thing that just does that. So I would probably build it myself out of acrylic, and it would be probably fun, and it shouldn't be too costly either. Let's see. Nathan Kotas sent in, hello everyone, just joined and glad to be part of the community. This is my 10-gallon Cobra Endler and Ram's Horn snail tank. The picture is bad as I took it on my old smartphone. Open to suggestions for scape, stocking, etc. Stocking, first and foremost, stick with your stocking. Let the Cobra Endlers do their thing, and you will have a lot of them. And by the way, mad props to you. I love Cobra Endlers. They're dope fish, and I stare at them all day, every day. And it's a 10-gallon, so I would let it fill in. The plants that you have in here are going to fill in. So I think I personally would leave what you got, because it looks like you got some tiger lotus here and here. We got a little bit of dwarf, it looks like some kind of hair grass, I don't know, Elicarius or something like that. And we got some Anubias. I would probably fill in some more Anubias up on the rocks and things, and maybe add some kind of driftwood in front of this sponge thing, and move the heater over here. I'd move the heater. I'd move the heater somewhere. I don't know. Okay, what would I do here? We need a big plant in front of the heater. That's what you need. Which looks like I see something growing back here, so you might already have that happening. But just let it fill in. Boy, howdy. You'd be surprised when you get all your stuff in a 10-gallon and you let it grow for a little while, and all of a sudden it's over full of stuff. It doesn't take that long to outgrow a 10-gallon tank. Jay Swift is here, my guy. What's up, Jay? Shoot me a text, Jay. I think you have me on Facebook or something like that. We got some. This is local stuff. As you guys know, I'm in the Tacoma area, and Jay moved up from Oregon to the Tacoma area, and he was asking anybody else around here have any experience with Tropical Fish World and Pets over in Bonnie Lake on the 410. I'm getting back into fish. Yay, approval from the landlord. And I was wondering if they would be a good resource as a local fish store. I personally don't know. I have not been to this store personally. I haven't been to a lot. I've been to a bunch of the local stores down here. A couple of them have closed. A couple of them have opened. But as Bentley was saying here, she likes Sierra Fish and Pet in Renton. Sierra Fish and Pet's pretty cool. Midway in Federal Way is all right also. There are a lot of good stores down here. I just don't have... I don't have to go to stores very often. And I personally, I don't like going to stores. And I got a baby. So... I don't know that I'm going to be spending a lot of time like just going to stores. So it's pretty rare for me. And most of the things that I can get, I go to, what's it called? Whoa. Okay, I guess I have to leave that like that. Where do I normally go? Aquarium Paradise, I think, is where I go. Yes, Aquarium Paradise. That's where we bought the sumps and everything. Okay, so I think about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago or something like that, Chris Johnson was asking, okay, guys, he was asking about this sump, and now we have a picture of the sump here. He says, okay, guys, first-time sumper here. So what I have for a sump on his 240, it's a 36 by 16 by 18. I wasn't going to try and take the he was going to try and take the existing baffles out, but it started to crack the tank, so they're staying. Yeah, that's kind of what we were talking about in the show. Is like, man, you try to rip those out. It could be bad things, but, And he says, what do I add and where do I add it? I'd like to have a wet-dry entrance and lava rock and bio rings in the middle with storage place for bad cichlids and spare sponge filters and a heater. A storage place for bad cichlids I would always do in a separate tank. So if you have other fish that need to be sort of privately housed, I would probably drill a bulkhead over here and over here. I'm kind of crazy though, but that's what I would do. I would just drill a side tank and have them in a side tank. But it looks like your overflow comes down here, goes into a sock. I think that's what it looks like. Oh no, maybe your overflow comes over here, then goes here, then here. But does it go this way? Yeah, I think I would set all of my biomedia over here in this first chamber. Then this middle chamber I would normally use for, refugium type setup, and then heater and return pump over here. So the bio rings, filter floss, all that kind of stuff. Filter floss I would put right here, in between these two spots, and then one right in front of it. So I'd go coarse and then fine in between this gap right here. So it would overflow here, overflow to there, and then the pump and return would go back up to the tank right there. So, but it should be pretty easy to kind of deal with. And then if you need to, instead of removing the panels, I probably would just drill holes in them if I needed a bunch of flow to go through a certain area. And that's definitely the way that I would go. But, yeah. Maybe I can get an update and we can find out what's going on. Because let's see, we got some comments here. Looks like we got a little bit. Okay, we got a little back and forth. Okay. But yeah, a crack is almost always an issue. I see them kind of going on with a crack in the acrylic. I definitely would go about I would either re-weld it or whatever and go that route. But like I said, if I really needed water to pass through one of the baffles, I probably would just drill a lot of holes and go that route instead of trying to remove them out of an acrylic, full tank. That's what I would do. Yeah. If you had a glass sump and it had like acrylic panels, like siliconed in it and whatnot, I would always take those out. That's never the greatest thing. You want to you don't want to mix the two. What am I thinking of? What would be a way? You don't want to do acrylic baffles in a glass tank. You'd want to do glass baffles in a glass tank, acrylic baffles in an acrylic tank. That seems to be the best way to go, right? Scott Overstreet says, how do they keep the plants in a tank looking like they just put them into the tank? All my plants are covered. I've got half of one plant that's really green, but all the others have algae all over. Typically, you have probably a serious imbalance in your you probably have a pretty serious imbalance in your fertilizers. You probably have too much direct light just shining directly onto those plants, and they're probably slow growers. I'd have to kind of know what kind of plants you have and stuff like that. Scott, what's your setup? A great place to get some answers about that stuff would be on the Patreon, and you can post your whole setup. You can post pictures. You can ask questions about these pictures. I'll be hollering back at a lot of these people at length, after we get done with this stream, and let some people know what up. Also, the Patreon has a messenger built into it, so we can utilize the messenger back and forth, and it seems to work pretty well. Otherwise, get a hold of me on Facebook or whatever, just comment on a video, I guess. I don't know. That'd be fine. KG Cichlids is here. Pogostemon stellatus octopus is covering the heater. It should be covering the heater, because if you put it in there, it will cover the heater, that's for sure. Let's see. Donald's Fish Farm. Anyone? I have thousands of koi eggs. Day 4, no fry yet. I've never hatched koi eggs personally. And honestly, from talking to koi.com and like going through the whole breeding process and all that kind of stuff, I was not enthusiastic to give it a shot after, just realizing like how kind of wild it is to actually get koi to breed and breed properly and all that kind of stuff. So I've never done it, and don't know, and I wouldn't be able to give you great advice for the koi because it was much more complicated than I thought it was going to be. T. Riddle has a solar tube in his bathroom, but no fish tanks in there. Yeah, it is kind of weird if you ever see a fish tank in the bathroom. I don't know. This doesn't seem right to me. Feels like you're going to get poo particles in the tank. You know what I mean? Or shower particles. Like maybe you're shampooing your hair and somehow get shampoo particles all up in your tank. All right, so we're up on we're up against the clock here, guys. So I gotta get this is going to be a short stream today. Has to be a short stream just because that's how it goes. But Friday we'll be back for a regular show with our video segments, with our answering the Patreon questions, all that kind of stuff. So if you haven't posted anything onto the Patreon, go ahead and post something on there because I'll be back in 2 days, and we'll talk about all that stuff at length. It would be our regular time at 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. We'll be doing it at our specific time. Right? Yes, correct. Of course. I mean, hello. And I'm glad that I hope everybody had a fantastic holiday. I had a pretty good holiday. We got to see all the people. Olivia's doing great. Check out this. With the new computer, we have this technology. Woo, Olivia. Right? So we've had a lot of good stuff going on, and I don't really have any complaints. It did cost a lot of money to rebuild the computer, but hey, that's life, and that's what credit cards are for. So I'm actually, I'm honestly considering, it's a realistic consideration at this point. You're thinking about building another one, but it's just one of those things. I start getting excited. I guess I start getting excited, and in my excitement, I start to think like, wow, maybe I should do blah, 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 Scooby-Doo, right? And then Vicky will talk sense into me, and I'll be like, you're right, and you're beautiful, and I love you so much, and our beautiful daughter. So we got all that going on. But hopefully everybody has a fantastic whatever it is. If you were thinking about going to buy some fireworks, don't do it. Don't do it. No one wants your New Year's fireworks. That's crazy. Okay? Don't do it. Just don't do it. And I'll holler at you all later.